Okay, so we'll get started. Thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Yessenia. These webinars will come to you every other week. Normally they're done on Wednesdays, but we are trying out different times and different days to see if it's more beneficial to our clients and to the surrogates and intended parents out there that may be searching for information. Like Yessenia said, the whole point of these webinars are to get information out there to you so that you can protect yourselves and not make the mistakes that maybe we've made or past surrogates have made when they're looking for this information. Today's webinar is going to be on top 10 questions surrogates should ask when interviewing an agency. And now these are not the end all be alls, but they are a good start. If you do have questions about any of our webinars, if you want to know more information, definitely reach out to us at Ashley at surrogatefirst.com or Yessenia at surrogatefirst.com. We also have our website, so you can get on there and book an initial consult with a coordinator who can kind of answer those questions for you guys too. Sorry about that. So just a couple things we want to kind of cover. We're going to be going over those top 10 questions. We've put a lot of thought and efforts into it. If you have questions during this process, please feel free to reach out in the question and answer box. And at the end of the webinar, we will answer those for you. We also want to be able to share more. We currently did a surrogate survey where we interviewed hundreds of surrogates. So we are going to be coming out with webinars more about that findings of what, like, the difference between independent journeys or journeys with an agency. We do have upcoming webinars. So in 2 weeks, we'll be doing Building Your Dream Team. That will be facilitated by Yessenia and myself. After that, in a month, we will be doing one on financing with one of our partners, Sunfish. That will be for more the intended parent side. The journey can cost anywhere from 150 upwards to 200,000 plus for creating embryos and attorneys and health insurance and surrogate compensation. And there's just so many aspects of it. And so we really want to help our parents to understand what the total cost is of the journey, but also understanding how to finance that. So whether that's savings, financing, we can go into that. I could do it all day, but that's definitely where my heart is. For surrogates who are currently in their journey, in about a month and a half, we're going to be doing the surrogacy birth plan. So stick around for those. We do add these onto our Facebook page at Surrogate First. We also have a Surrogate First YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that so that you can get these updated webinars as they're coming out. We are revamping that site, so you're going to see a lot more information on there. We also are going to be utilizing the YouTube Shorts, so you can get little bite-sized pieces of what these webinars are about. And I think that covers everything. I'd love to introduce Yessenia and myself. So I am Ashley. I'm the intake director at Surrogate First. I'm also just completed my 4th surrogacy, 3rd for the same family. And that was about almost 4 weeks ago. And then I have Yessenia, if you would like to introduce yourself and get this party started, we can get going.
Yes. So I'm Yessenia. I'm a surrogacy educator with Surrogate First. I am a one-time surrogate, and I started on going on social media to share my journey. And I built quite a bit of a following, all about surrogacy, all about education, all about teaching people how to become a surrogate as well. So I am a surrogacy educator and a one-time surrogate. I don't have as much experience as Ashley does, of course. She's done it 4 times, and some people can't even believe that you can do it 4 times. But I'm like, yes, as long as you're healthy, you can definitely do it. But that's a little bit about who we are. And I guess we can get right into the questions.
Awesome.
Okay. So how many surrogacies has the agency facilitated over the past year? So this is a really important question to ask a surrogacy agency. Surrogates knowing how many surrogacies an agency has facilitated over the past year is important because it can provide insight into the agency's experience and success rate. An agency that has facilitated a high number of surrogacies over the past year is likely to be well established in the process and have experienced staff to provide support and guidance through the surrogacy journey. This can increase the chances of successful and a positive experience for everyone involved. So I really think this is important because there might be really small agencies that might have only 10 surrogates that they handle over the year. And I think it's really important to go with somebody that has at least more than 50 for the year so they can have more experience on all the process and they're just more experienced.
Yeah, I would say, like it is important to have someone who's like well established, so like how long they've been, they've been around. And I'm sure you're going to get into those questions. With the journeys, I would also probably want to know how many cases does each case manager manage? Like so like what is the ratio of like staff to cases? Because sometimes you have extremely large agencies and sometimes they can almost feel uh like a process. I don't know if you mean like, like being herded through like cattle. So
Like you're
making
just a number.
yeah. So check with them on how many, surrogacies they facilitated, and then getting to understand, what does that look like for you in care? Like how often are they going to reach out to you, or how many, staff members they have per case or case managers, and just kind of understanding that too. You definitely need to be concerned or think about it too. If they only do a handful of cases a year, are they going to have intended parents for you to match with? Are they, and it goes into those other questions you have in here, so I won't even touch on them. But yeah, just kind of keeping in mind that like all of these questions are going to kind of be combined. Every agency has to start off somewhere. But yeah, like you said, like 50 cases, that's definitely an amazing, well established. Some of the more boutique agencies may do, 20 cases to 50 cases. And if they've been around for a while, I'd still keep myself open to them too.
Yes. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's pretty much like what you're more comfortable with.
Yeah. But I like what you said, like they may have a more established process. They may have more support team that help with each case so that you have someone who maybe like for us, we have, insurance people that will help with like the insurance side of things. And we have escrow and legal help, so we have these support people or travel support people. So you have your case manager and you get to build that relationship with them and have them for your emotional support, helping you through the process, educating you. And then on the other end, you also have like your travel coordinator who will help you, work on travel. So that's what they're an expert in travel management. Or maybe you have some questions about your contractor. You want someone to like look over it to help you with like making sure that, your comp is correct in there, or that, your names are spelled correctly. Like things can happen all the time with legal. So yeah, it's important to kind of see what kind of support do they have when they are, carrying out these cases.
Okay, so the second question that we have is how long does it take to start the matching process and to be matched? As a surrogate, it is important to know the agency's waiting time for a surrogate to match with intended parents because it can impact the timeline and your availability for the surrogacy process. The waiting time varies from agency to agency and can range from a few weeks to several months. This can help you plan your life and commitments accordingly and avoid potential conflicts. Additionally, understanding the agency's waiting time can provide insight into their level of demand and success rate, which can help you assess the agency's reputation and credibility. So, I know many different surrogates from many different agencies, and I've known girls to be waiting on a list for intended parents for a long amount of time. And I feel like a reputable agency will have a list of families waiting, many people for you to match with. And I think any reputable agency will have those families ready.
Yeah. And I definitely think it's important to have an agency who you can communicate with and find out, because like for me, I'm more of a pro-life surrogate. There is a longer wait time for finding the right match. And I've heard horror stories of surrogates who are like, oh, I matched, I was waiting for a match and the agency sent me a profile that didn't even match what I was looking for, and so sometimes you'll find sometimes we match surrogates within hours of becoming active, right? We're like, oh, perfect match. Like they look great. Let's share profiles, see if it's a good match. And then sometimes we have people that are waiting weeks, but maybe they have something in their medical records that they potentially would be a great candidate for certain clinics and not others. Or maybe so finding out too, like, how do they match? What is their matching process and their timeline? And I think it's so important that you put in here matching process, because not just the timeline, but like understanding how do we find the right families. I know currently we have about 50 intended parents that are looking for the right surrogate. And then we have another like 100 intended parents that are coming through our screening process. So we definitely have the parents there. And we do match quite a few of our Christian pro-life surrogates who are looking for like heterosexual domestic couples. But we work with everyone. So we have about a 50-50 split between domestic intended parents and international parents. And then we have a 50-50 split between heterosexual and same-sex couples.
Yes.
Pretty good match for people who are looking for, for.
Oh, it's breaking up a little bit. Okay. Yes, I think it's really important to not change your mind about what type of family you would like to match with. But if the more strict you are, the longer you would have to wait, no matter what. Okay, so we're going to go to the next question now. What is the agency's recommended surrogate benefit package? So asking an agency about the recommended surrogate benefit package is important because it can provide the insight into the agency's commitment to providing fair compensation and support for surrogates. So you definitely want to make sure that what they're trying to give to you for the recommended surrogate benefit package is fair to everybody involved. It's definitely important that everything is fair when you're going to be compensated. Is that on me? I was like saying if that sound was from my end.
I think that might just be a notification. I've muted myself so that you don't hear my notifications.
Oh my God. Okay, sorry guys. But yeah, so definitely looking into their surrogates different benefit packages is really important. You want to make sure that you're matching with the agency that's best for you. Like for example, some agencies offer a monthly allowance and some do not. And on my end, I think it's important to have a monthly allowance. There's a long time that you're going through the process. There is sometimes money that you have to pay up front that is reimbursed, but it is way easier having a monthly allowance during this time. And also like the different benefits that the agency has.
Or even thinking about some of these packages you'll see are almost all inclusives. Like they may not be completely, but they may be. And so you're seeing like a compensation for a first-time surrogate of $60,000, and it's not 60,000 base, right? So like compensations broken down into like, I'd say 3 or 4 categories. I consider base compensation is like your payment for pain and suffering. You have like your bonuses and milestones, which would be things like legal clearances and, different items like that you have. And then you have reimbursements, lost wages, childcare, and then you have complications, which would be a lost organ or things. And so sometimes agencies can have these benefit packages, and on first glance, you see, oh, I could make $95,000. Yeah, if you lost a leg and you had a hysterectomy and you were in bed rest for 9 months, yeah, you could potentially make that as a first-time surrogate. So looking at how does the benefit package work, making sure that comparing apples to apples, like, is this number that I'm getting, is this include my childcare, my lost wages? Is there a lost wages cap? Those are things that are important to know, because while complications are very minimal, you want to make sure you're protected. So like at SurrogateFirst, we split everything down. So it's like base compensation, your milestones and bonuses, and then you have your reimbursements, and then your complications. And so I always tell people, whatever your base comp is, count on an additional 15 to 20,000 in the milestones and bonuses. Those are things like your monthly allowance. If you have health insurance, there's a $5,000 bonus. If you have there's a list of items. So I think for us, you have a compensation of like 5,000 that's paid out before pregnancy. And then the remaining of that, 10 to 15 is throughout the pregnancy or after, if you're getting your insurance bonus. And then base comp would be the items of like what you get paid for the pain and suffering during pregnancy, normally like 9 months of increments of payments. So just checking on that, because over the 8 years of being in the industry, I've had surrogates come to me after their first journey and come to us for their second and find out that they had like what they thought was an amazing compensation, but they were paying like co-pays, deductibles, their transfer fees were coming out of their base comp, all of their milestones and benefits were coming out of the base comp. So if you had a $55,000 base comp as a first-time surrogate, but 15,000 of that was like milestones and bonuses, then you got 40,000 as a base comp, and so it's really good and important to look at all of that. Also, the other thing I would warn people about that I've seen happen to surrogates is sometimes you go in and they tell you your amount, but they're not going to have you sign a comp at the beginning. They're like, wait till we review all your records. And I've seen people go in with a promise of 65,000 as a first time surrogate, get through like medical record reviews, and then be like, well, we don't have parents for that comp. And I've seen them go all the way down to like 40. So for their base comps, because of like records, or because, oh wait, we don't have those parents that are willing to pay that amount, so we're going to need you to go all the way down. And so surrogates will wait for months to go through the screening process and the matching process, only to start back off where they were even lower than where we would be potentially, working with them at. And then also finding out surrogates are able to make their own base comps. And so talking with your agency about what is fair, what does that look like for you, but then ultimately you being able to have some say in your benefit package is important.
Yeah, I think it's really important that the agencies are transparent. That's the biggest thing, because everybody's like, oh, but this website says up to 100,000. This website says up to 80,000. But it's like, you need to read in between the lines, read the details, and just not sign up with the agency just because they're promoting all this money.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know how that happened. But what is the agency's recommended qualifications? By asking about the recommended qualifications, potential surrogates can ensure that they meet the agency's standards and are eligible to become a surrogate. Additionally, it can help them understand the expectations and requirements of their surrogacy journey and ensure that they are fully prepared and informed. So I will say most agencies do have around the same qualifications, but there are those rare agencies that sorry, that's distracted me. So there are those rare agencies that want a very strict BMI. They really want to like certain things that they will alter for the qualification. So some agencies are definitely more stricter than others. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And also understanding the ASRM guidelines, right? So and I apologize, that was my ding. But
okay.
The ASRM guidelines, understanding what that looks like. Some clinics are going to be open to following the ASRM guidelines. Some are stricter, some are a little more lax. Some look at all of your records in your history, and then some look at their, like, they look at just the point blank, the paper, like they're not looking at the whole human, right, with the clinics. So that's why agencies normally have basic clinics, like maybe they have a handful of clinics they work with on an 80% basis, and then they help parents with all the other. So when you're looking at this as a surrogate, don't think that the agency is necessarily making the qualifications and requirements. A lot of them are going off of what the ASRM guidelines and the clinics they work with say. If you have an agency that is willing to work with you and you've had complications, it would be dangerous and life-threatening for you to be a surrogate. While this is about, like at the end of the day, this is about helping a family safely get their baby earthside. And so sometimes we as surrogates have to understand that it's not just about our want to help a family, but what is best for that baby and the highest chance of like success to make it here. And so you never want to put yourself at risk. You also want to understand, like, finding an agency that's got that middle ground, to strictness, like either middle to strictness of that, because they're looking out for you. They're wanting to make sure that you're safe. You have a family, you either have a partner, you have children, they're counting on you. And no amount of helping a family or compensation is ever going to be worth your life. So look at that too, because I've seen some surrogates who have come to me after completing a journey with another agency, and they shouldn't have been approved for their first surrogacy because their life really could have been put at risk, and they had complications with the surrogacy. And so just understand, it's not about us wanting to be exclusive. We want to be inclusive. We have so many parents looking, but we also care more about you and your health than profits. And that's what kind of agency you need to look for, is one that cares about you as a human being more than making a dollar.
Yeah, it's really important, because I would hate to see anybody lose their life over this, and that would just be heartbreaking. Okay, is there someone available to answer emergency questions 24/7? What is that process? Having access to 24/7 emergency support can also help you feel more confident and prepared throughout your journey. You can rest assured that if an urgent issue arises, you're able to quickly and easily access support and guidance that you need. Surrogate First has 24/7 support available, and we have a dedicated team of professionals around the clock to answer questions and provide support to intended parents and surrogate mothers. So overall, having 24/7 support is really important for a reputable and reliable surrogacy agency. So I just want to talk about this really quick. So when I was in labor, they told me, the hospital, that if I didn't have a last minute form to say that the baby could stay in my room from lawyers, that they were going to just take the baby directly out of my room. And I had to contact the agency immediately to tell them, I need this paper. I need this paper sent. The parents said that the baby can stay in the room with me until they arrive. And that was something like really bothering me in my labor and delivery process. Like, I shouldn't have to worry about something like that. But thank God that they had 24/7 support, and I was able to get that paper over to the hospital immediately. So that's just one example of the reasons why you need 24/7 access to talk to somebody. If different issues arise, it's really important that you're able to talk to somebody.
I agree. And I'm not, nothing to add there.
Yes. Okay. Is your staff experienced IPs, GCs, or fertility staff? It is beneficial for a surrogacy agency to have staff members who are experienced IPs, GCs, or fertility-related fields, because these individuals can provide specialized knowledge and surrogacy support throughout the surrogacy journey. So Surrogate First is 100% all IPs, GCs, and fertility staff. So we give that extra experience because we've all been through the journey. And I think it's really amazing to work with people who have been through the same experience as you, and it makes it even more great. Here's some pictures. Okay, so how did your agency get started? Asking a surrogacy agency about their creation can help intended parents and surrogates make an informed decision about which agency to work with. It can also help ensure that the surrogacy process is conducted ethically and with a focus of the well-being for everybody. So Surrogate First is, like I just said, is composed of 100% former intended parents and experienced surrogates who truly emphasize with your current journey and are here to serve you. We educate, lead, and guide you through your journey with expertise, compassion, respect, and personal attention at all times. I wrote some things that you would like to look for is transparency with the agency. We have an ethical process, their mission and values, like the reason why they started the agency, and their experience and expertise in the field of surrogacy.
Awesome. And just a little bit about how our agency got started. So we have two founders. And also I see everybody's question and answers. I'm going to get to them, and then we'll also do them, at the end. But we got started with our founders, Jeff and Lena. Lena and Jeff traveled through 4 different countries. And we call them their $1 million babies because by the end, it probably costed close to $1 million for these babies. And so they have their girls through a surrogate. And then Lena was, able to heal from some surgeries and medical things that she had, and she was able to carry their son to term. So they have 3 children through IVF, 2 of which came through surrogacy. I was lucky enough to meet Lena and Jeff after my first journey. Lena was an IVF concierge at that time, and she ran a company for over a decade before starting Surrogate First, where she helped parents find the right clinics, donors, and would collaborate with larger agencies. And so I was able to meet with her after my journey, and was introduced to her as a friend of my intended parent. We wanted to go through another journey. We weren't sure, and when we didn't want to use our same agency, we wanted to use another agency or collaborate with a concierge. And so I met Lena, fell in love with Lena and her work ethic and her heart. And so we came on board with our second journey. I became her assistant shortly after that. And then we opened Surrogate First over almost 5 years, I think we're at 5 years already. And since that time, last year, we helped just at about 100 families go through the surrogacy process last year alone. So it's been an amazing growth. It comes from the fact that we were able to build on experienced surrogates information, what they felt would be a solid program, what intended parents felt. And that's what Surrogate First, it's all about people over profits. We want to love on people. We want surrogates to be, we consider your whole mind, body, and soul. And so further down, she's gonna have a question about benefits and what makes you different. I just want to share that our whole goal was to just make sure that your mind, body, and soul were taken care of, that you left after your journey better than you started, and that you never felt used or a commodity, that you're a human being. And so that's where we got started. That's where our heart is. And they're stuck with me now forever. So
They're truly Ashley's family now. Okay, we're going to go on to the next one. Is the money intended for surrogate held in a third-party escrow, and how does the escrow process work? So if you guys don't know, an escrow is a company that holds all the surrogacy money to protect it. And so a third-party escrow is better for surrogacy because it is a neutral party and provides an extra layer of protection, while an internal escrow can create conflicts of interest and financial risks. So a third-party escrow is sorry if I read that again. So they hold and manage the funds for the two parties until certain conditions are met. The company ensures that the funds are managed impartially and dispersed only when the conditions of the agreement are met, providing an extra layer of protection for everybody involved. SurrogateFirst uses a company called C Trust for most of our surrogacy arrangements. So the escrow company, they just protect all the money. They disperse it directly to your account at the different given times, like, oh, positive pregnancy test. Oh, you passed certain milestones. They disperse your money. They handle it so you don't, all the surrogacy pay is protected. You're protected. The intended parents are protected. Okay. So where are your intended parents from, and what type of families do you help? So it can be beneficial for an agency to have a mix of both local and international couples, as this can provide a range of options for surrogates. Having a variety of intended parents can also help the agency demonstrate their commitment to diversity, inclusivity, and cultural sensitivity, which can make the surrogacy journey more comfortable and enjoyable for everybody involved. It is great to have a surrogate. It's great for a surrogate to have many choices and to choose what is best for her individual journey. So SurrogateFirst works with parents from the US and all over the world. Like Ashley said, it's about 50-50, 50% international families, 50% local here in the United States. And we work with all different types of couples. And I think that's really important that you choose the couple or the parent that is best for your journey. And there's lots of choices. Okay, and here are some actual people that use SurrogateFirst. These are all pictures from our agency. Okay, so what makes the agency different? Any support groups or programs? So asking a surrogacy agency about what sets it apart from the others, whether it offers any support groups or programs, is important for intended parents and surrogates because it can provide valuable information about the agency's unique features and services, as well as its approach to supporting individuals and couples through the surrogacy process. This can help intended parents and surrogates make informed decisions about which agency to work with based on their individual needs and preferences. So SurrogateFirst sets itself apart because we have several amazing programs. We have a health and wellness program, and we have surrogacy support groups, and we also have a surrogacy retreat. And I have never heard of an agency that has a surrogacy retreat, and I think that's really awesome. Like last year, you guys went to Las Vegas? Las Vegas?
no, so this year will be our first surrogate retreat. We've done like the company ones, but this will be our first like official surrogate retreat. And we're trying to figure that out right now. So we're deciding between like Las Vegas, Texas, or a cruise. Yes. And if you're too far in the pregnancy, you know, obviously if you're pregnant, we don't want to risk you flying and all of those things. So you get a golden ticket to the next year. So it's not like you miss out. I would prefer a cruise where like food is like, I love food. So like, you know, where food and like activities are unlimited, but we're going to take a poll with our surrogates that are going to be going on the trip and things like that and see which one they prefer to. Texas sounds amazing because like there's so much you can do in Texas. Also the barbecue, again, food, but yeah.
Also, like our health and wellness program, I don't know of any other agency that has that. So it's basically a customized program. They have you it's your option to join the program if you want to or not. You're not forced to join the program, but they can help you with exercise routines, diet, getting back into shape after the baby is born, eating healthy foods prior to pregnancy as well. There's so many different things, and it's all customized to the individual surrogate. And we also have Build Your Own Comp and Surrogate Plus programs. So Build Your Own Comp, we have it right on our website. You can check it out, and you can basically customize your package with us. And we also have the Surrogate Plus program. So you have to meet certain requirements in the Surrogate Plus program, but if you meet those requirements, you can earn up to $15,000 more in base compensation.
It's a lot of question and answers. I promise I'll get to you guys. So I'm like typing away.
So in conclusion, when looking for a surrogacy agency, there are hundreds of options in the US, but sadly, there is no accreditation program and anyone can open an agency. When putting your future on the line, it is important to work with an ethical, educated, and experienced agency. So definitely do your research, ask these questions, write down what's important for you in your individual journey, and if they don't want to answer the questions, maybe you should move on to the next one for real. And this is just a thank you from both of us at SurrogateFirst. And this is my email. It's Yessenia@surrogatefirst.com. And Ashley's email is ashley@surrogatefirst.com. And our phone numbers, if you guys ever want to send us a message. And you can also book a call with us on the website to get more information from anybody.
And then just before we head out, we try to keep these at like 30 minutes out of respect for your time. I am going to spend just a couple minutes on some of the questions that we had asked. If you ask a question and I don't get to it, we will send it over in like an email. Maybe we'll make some content on it on our TikToks or, Instagrams and YouTube shorts to answer these questions, because clearly we respect your time and we're so happy that you guys were able to answer these questions or ask us questions. So the first one is, should we ask our agencies what they take out of the base pay? They should never take anything out of the base pay, right? But if you're talking about like it being an exclusive, I would definitely ask that question. It also should be written in details. Your compensation package should be very detailed on what it is, the amount, and then what that actually, like the title, the description, and then what it is, just so you understand too, because that's what's going to be there to create your legal contract. So asking that. I recommend that everything be itemized. So that way you understand and it's easy, like base comp, it's just paid out for being pain and suffering of pregnancy. What happens when you deliver early? What happens when you deliver on time? Like all of those questions are super important. And if you want to book a time with us too, you can do that. So our website is surrogatefirst.com. You can book a consult, an initial call with a coordinator. They can go over these questions too to ask, you can ask more in detail. The next one is, how long does it take after being medically cleared to be matched with SurrogateFirst? And do we automatically get that paper for the baby to stay in the room with us? So we prefer not to have babies stay in the room with you, but not for any, like, if it happens, right? But we just want to make sure you're taking care of, you get the rest you need. We wouldn't want them to go to the nursery or things like that. So it's really up to you and what you feel comfortable and what the parent feels comfortable. So make sure that you're talking with your parents. That's what we talk about in match meetings or at legal, or even when you're getting towards the end of the pregnancy. Our agency does a third quarter, like not a third quarter, but a third trimester birth plan. That's where you're going to talk about, hey, what if something happens and I go straight into labor and deliver within like hours and it's early? And what does that look like? What do we want to do? For me and my intended parents, we wanted baby to stay with me and they wanted me to be able to nurse and pump for baby. It was our third. So we've been together for like 8 years and that's what we did. But for others, they may say like, well, I don't want to take care of the baby as a surrogate, and we respect that. What that document's called is a power of attorney. It means that you would legally be responsible for that baby. So if that's something that you would want to take on risk, then you would. We also plan to, like, if there's a complication, we can fly out. We have coordinators throughout the country. We're there to support you, get over there. But we also tell parents to be to the, like, whatever you're.
Oh, it's breaking up really quick. It's breaking up.
Drive, then that's so We want to make sure everyone is supported on what they're comfortable with. And we always want to try to have parents there, because I think for me, the most like amazing experience is watching the parents meet their baby for the first time, whether that's like at the birth where you're like, welcome to all of this. Or if it's like, they're coming in a little bit later, after, or a C-section or things like that. So that's definitely it. One more, this I think is super important. If an agency denies you, can you reapply with a different agency? What I say about this is, if it is a across the board denial, so ask the agency, is this something that you would recommend me seeing if other agencies would accept? An agency will be they may not give you the exact details, but they may say, actually, yes, our clinics and we are very strict on this. So we can't do that, but you might have, I recommend XYZ agency. They work with other clinics that are more open. They'll usually give you agency referrals and then even talk to that agency for you. We're work in a team. All reputable agencies really work together. The other side of it could be, actually, I don't recommend it because it's not safe for you to be a surrogate. Or this is like an across the board, any reputable agency or clinic will not be able to work with you.
Yeah, like certain things like preeclampsia, I was like, no, certain things that are risk your life. Like,
No, there's some situations. So, I've seen where like a surrogate has preeclampsia in her first birth, none in the after, no hypertensions. And so they may be okay. I've seen IVF gives a higher risk of preeclampsia. IVF twins, surrogacy twins, they give a higher risk, or even postpartum preeclampsia. So definitely checking in on those things to see like what's recommended on that. But yeah, for sure, you want to make sure you're protected. Things like gestational diabetes with insulin use normally is a disqualifier across the board. Depression, anxiety with suicidal ideations, hospitalizations recently, those kind of items, long-term medication use, because we don't know how you're going to react to the IVF meds, the stress and, and hardships of the surrogacy. Those are all things that are there to protect you. So ask the agency, hey, why was I denied? Is this something that maybe will work with another agency? Maybe it's the amount of terminations or abortions you had. Maybe it's the amount of miscarriages, and they'll give you their answer and let you know. I've told people before, like, hey, this is a no for Surrogate First, but I wouldn't give up. Like maybe there's some other agencies and clinics that would feel comfortable moving forward.
And I know we're a little bit short on time today, but you guys feel free to email us. Feel free to even DM me on Instagram if you guys know me personally, or even if you don't know me, you can always DM me. I always answer all my DMs, and I would love to answer your questions.